How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the shop. I'm Steve, and today I want to talk about pricing laser work. And this would be pricing that you quote to customers if you're doing custom work. It sounds like something that should be simple, but it's actually, there's a lot of tricks, and if you don't do it properly, you can lose money on every job, and that's definitely not what you want to do. So as it happens, I'm pricing out a sign right now for a customer, potential customer, and I need to give them a quote. And the sign itself it's fairly large, but it's just a simple black and white acrylic sign. It will also have a third layer of clear acrylic and an LED backlight in part. It's simple enough to kind of walk through how to cost it, but it's a busy enough project that there's a reason to do a proper costing on it. So what I did was put a spreadsheet together, and I'll walk you through line by line how I priced this project. There's no real rocket science here other than a bunch of basic math to do some addition and come out with a price at the bottom. So with that, let's get going, and I'll show you how I price things. All right, so I got my spreadsheet up here. You can see it's basically 3 or 4 blocks of information that you need to fill in to give a reasonable quote at the bottom. And again, I wouldn't ever show this to a customer. The only thing I would communicate to the customer is the absolute bottom line price. So this is just for me to kind of keep track of things. And you can store these things so that if you want to go back in the past and see how you price something or what you added here, you can recall that and maybe you can get copied information here. So in this case, I've added my bill of materials after the customer information, which here is all anonymized, but the next block is the bill of materials, and this is the materials that will be used in this product that will ultimately be shipped to the customer. So in this case, it's a black backgrounded sign, black acrylic with white letters, and there will also be some clear acrylic that is a spacer behind the bulk of their white logo, and then an LED backlight behind it to kind of shine some light to kind of give it a nice effect. So what I did here is add the white acrylic, and in this case, I know the white acrylic is going to be used for the letters, so I want to stick the letters down. So I can order acrylic pre-taped with 3M adhesive so that I can just cut it out my laser and stick them right on, and it takes no time at all. It's a real time saver for an extra $3. Also going to need a sheet of black acrylic. The quantities here in this case are quarter full sheet of acrylic, which is roughly 1 foot by 2 feet. So black acrylic, some clear acrylic. I'm probably not going to need a whole one of these. I'm probably just going to use a half of that sheet. And you can see that it got a lot cheaper here. There is this extra cost line, and you can see I've added a 15% plus $5. The 5 here is shipping, because when I buy things from Trotec, they always charge me a flat rate of $30 to ship things. So I need to account for that in my pricing. So I added that, and there's some special taxes where I live that they charge. So I put that in as the additional cost for each of these items. The LED strip, I did the same thing, and in this case, I got it off of Amazon, and if you're really interested in that light, I can put a link down below. So that's the materials for everything that I'm going to put into this project, and you can see it rolls down to a single price, and we'll keep track of that. The next thing is the manufacturing cost. Now, this is everything you're going to do to make this item, and that includes certainly laser operation. And the units here, in the case of a laser operation, is an hour. I know I can get all of this cut in an hour. The unit cost is roughly 25 cents an hour. And the way I calculated this is the electricity costs for this. And the way I calculate that is I actually bought myself a power consumption meter. They sell them really cheap on Amazon. I'll put a link down below if you want one. But these things are great for determining exactly how much something is costing you. And I know in my case, I know the cost of my local electricity per kilowatt hour and the number of hours that I'm going to use, and I can just do a simple calculation. There's also, I usually pad that number with some wear and tear on my laser, because eventually I'll have to buy a new tube or something might go wrong, and I have to do some work. Anyway, so I put that price in there. I'm also going to use some transfer tape to keep things from getting smoky on here. And I'm going to use some blue tape to kind of hold it all together while I'm assembling it. So that's all of the material manufacturing costs that I'm going to do. Grand total of 93 cents. It doesn't sound like much, but if you did that on every job, it can chip away at your profit. So put in everything. Next block is labor costs. Now here for this particular project, I only have my labor costs. It's going to take me probably an hour to assemble this. I charge anywhere from $40 to $50 an hour. And so I'm going to add that in here. There would also be, if I had to hire a graphic artist or do something that required someone else, I would have to account for their time here. Now, if you're an Etsy volume seller, you're going to look at $40 an hour and you're going to say, no, Steve, you're crazy. That's no one's going to pay for this. Keep in mind, we're building custom projects here. This is not high volume. We're going to build one of these signs. The customer will pay for that because you're building them something that's unique. We talked a lot about brand in previous videos. It makes their brand identifiable, so they're willing to pay for that. So next, we have to actually box this thing up once it's built, and we have to send it to the customer. Here we have what I call packaging costs, and we're going to put this in a box that's roughly 30 by 18 inches and maybe 3 inches tall. We're going to pack it in some foam and maybe some air pillows just to make sure that it doesn't get damaged during shipping. And of course, we're going to put a whole lot of tape on this thing to make sure that it doesn't get damaged during shipping. So all of those are packaging costs. I didn't include the shipping here. I'll include that down below because that one very much depends on the customer. The customer may say, no, I'll pick it up, or I want it shipped with overnight courier because I need this in a hurry, or I want to take the cheapest route. So shipping I kind of deal with separately. So once we have all of these things kind of packaged up, and you can see there was really 4 of them. There was the bill of materials, the manufacturing cost, the labor cost, and the packaging costs. So what I did was kind of roll all of those things up into a single table down below. And you can see for materials manufacturing and labor, I add this shop fee column. And for me, this is normally just a 5% buffer I put on things. And this is for, that plan B where you've screwed something up and you need another sheet of material or something. This kind of shelters you from something bad happening. And again, I would normally, if I don't have to use this, I would normally refund this kind of stuff to the customer. Note there's no shop fee on packaging. Packaging is packaging. It's a box and a bunch of foam. So I don't charge any shop fee for that. So finally, we get down to some of the final costs here. We've come up with our total cost for this project, which is those 4 things above. And in this case, with these numbers, it's $171. And then I have this line, which is the markup. Now, my markup is normally 50%. And again, if you're an Etsy volume seller, you're going to say, there's no way, you can't do that. But here, we're not making volume, right? This is a one-off. So my margin, and this really is my profit, right? So up to this point, this is break even. And then this 50% margin is what keeps me in business and allows me to eat and those kinds of things if this is a full-time business for me. And finally, I mentioned shipping. This is where we put that shipping. I would normally ask the customer how quickly they want it, and if that impacts the shipping, then I'll put it in here. I can use the postal service to calculate the weight and dimensions, and it'll come up with a cost. Here I just stuck in $40. And then we get down to the final line item, which is the one we actually share with the customer. And I pick up the phone and I say, hey, Bob, I've got your quote for your sign. It's $297.05. Sometimes people will pretend shock at that price and they'll go, oh, this is too expensive. Keep in mind, you can't do things for charity, right? So you do have to be hard-nosed, and you have to say, look, this is what it's going to cost me to make this and get it to you. And honestly, you have to be willing to walk away because you can't lose money. Now, there's an exception to this. If you say, I'll cut you a deal on this one because I know you're going to come back to me for other signage, for stickers, for coffee mugs, for whatever your business does. Then you can say, look, this is that freebie. I'm going to make this for you for cost because I want this follow-on business. But for the most part, you still want to make money. So you want to take that as a last resort. Anyway, this is the price. And as I mentioned, this spreadsheet's pretty simple. You can see it does really basic calculations, but it's quite handy. And you can throw things in here, and in 10 minutes, you can have a reasonable quote set up that you can share with somebody. So you can see we walk through the spreadsheet here, and we come down to the bottom line with something that's reasonable where we're pretty sure we can make money. There's also enough padding built into some of these prices, as we talked about here, where if I really screw something up and I maybe need another sheet of acrylic or something, I'm still going to make money. So the price I come down to at the bottom line, usually when I communicate that to a customer, I communicate that as the worst case scenario, so the price won't go up. But it's possible if I save a little time or save a little material, the price could come down. So, you always pitch it to the customer as this is the most you're ever going to have to pay for this. And you stick to it, honestly. If something really bad happens and it looks like you might lose money, you've made a commitment to the customer, so you're just going to have to take that bullet. Anyway, it's one of these things you need to understand to get your business running properly, but there's always more. And if you really want to find out how to get your business going, some of the things you need, then watch this video up here, and I'll see you over there if you do. Otherwise, go make your world, and I'll see you next time.